Hello friends, welcome to I Made Me Think video series tutorial for REST API testing and automation using Java programming and open source tool. So in the earlier couple of videos we discussed about basics of web application, web service, API. We also discussed about the REST API and SOAP API, their difference and some discussion. Now let us concentrate on REST API testing in general, why it is required, how it is required. So as we have seen in earlier videos that a typical application has typically three layers, what is presentation layer, business logic layer and data access layer. So presentation layer is something for the user. So to do testing at that level we do something called GUI testing. Next to that, to test the business logic we do the API testing, because the APIs are exposed from the business logic layer to the presentation layer to the user. So API testing is done at this particular level most of the time. So API testing is to verify functionality on cross-platform and multiple languages. So as we are aware that a particular application can be hosted on a Linux server or on a Windows server or on a Mac server or multiple platforms. A particular application can be developed using Java, can be developed using Ruby, can be developed using Microsoft technologies. So how can I access the same thing? For example, if an application is developed in Java and it is hosted on a Windows server and I am going to access that from a Linux server and Ruby language. So this kind of cross-platform support, this kind of multi-language support is the key thing why we need an API. Of course, the next reason is GUI test can't be sufficient to verify functional paths and backend APIs service associated with multi-tier architecture. So if we do only the GUI testing, we will not be able to test all the data paths which we can test using API testing. There are many multi-layer architecture, and from the GUI testing there is a limitation that we cannot do many things, but we can do lot of things using APIs. So API testing is important. Last is to, again, as obviously it is to determine whether API is return the correct response in expected format. This is basically the functional testing wherein we validate the input output parameters. Now let us see some theoretical part. So when we say a REST API or a RESTful API, what is it and what are its constraints, or what is the Richardson maturity model for this? So there is a lot of information available on Richardson maturity model, but let us see this in. So what are the different levels? So there are different levels. So when we say we are going to test an API which is RESTful, it should qualify any of the three level or most of the level. So when we say an API which qualifies at level 0 or level 1, level 2, level 3, it should qualify certain things. It should have certain things so that we can say this is an RESTful API level 1 or level N. So we will see this. So level 0 is service endpoint communication, level 1 is resource based communication, level 2 is HTTP words based communication, and level 3 is hypermedia communication. In simple words, level 0 is single URI and single HTTP verb. Level 1 is multiple URI and single HTTP verb. Level 2 is multiple URI and addressable resources and multiple HTTP verb. Level 3 is HATOS, hypermedia as the engine of application state. Now let us see this in detail. This is a bit theoretical part, but please bear with me. So there are a lot of information, there are a lot of places this is available, so please have a look at this particular link. So level 0 swamp up POCs. This refers to most elementary level maturity of a service. Web services that use HTTP as tunnel for remote procedure invocation on single URI come under level 0 maturity model. Typically only one HTTP verb, post or get used for communication to endpoint. SOAP web service that work with XML payload are an example of maturity level. So basically if you are using HTTP methods, you can say it qualifies level 0. Resources level 1. Services at this level of maturity use multiple URIs, logical resources, but use single HTTP verb, for example get or post. Hence instead of making calls to one URI, call can be made to multiple resources to perform different jobs. Rather than making all of your requests on a singular service endpoint, we now start talking to individual resources. So level 1 is resources. So what it says is every resource should be unique and it should be identifiable uniquely. It should not so happen that you call one URI and multiple parameters. It is not like that. One URI has to be a separate resource, or there should be a separate URI for separate resource. Level 2 HTTP verb. At this level, services use multiple logical resources and also multiple HTTP words for communication. Idea is to closely mimic the use of verbs to the operation being performed. For example, get would just read information on a resource, while post would create a new resource. Put would update and delete will remove the resource. These are called CRUD operations, CRUD. CRUD basic services are an excellent example of level 2 service. This level suggests that in order to be truly RESTful, your API must use HTTP verbs. So basically in the application for which we are doing, which supports REST APIs, should not only use a typical verb but use different verbs. For example, get, put, post and delete. The verb itself should clarify what is the operation we are going to do in a broader manner. The examples are get, put, post and delete. Of course there are many other methods like patch, head, options, but our point of focus will be the CRUD methods. Level 3 is hypermedia controls. In this level, services provides links to another resources that client may be interested in. RESTful web service fall under this category. It uses HATOS to deal with discovering the possibilities of your API towards the client. Resources contain links to related resources and collections, and also links to perform actions on the resource themselves. HATOS stands for hypertext as the engine of application state. So in short, if the API qualifies to level 3, then when we call particular API in that application, in the response body we should have some URI or some information which we might be interested in. So this is the basic of REST API or RESTful web services, RESTful APIs. Basically in the response itself we should have complete information that we will need this in the further APIs or further operation. Basically this should have a hypermedia or some URL links. We will see this in detail in our demo application. So our demo application qualifies to level 3, qualifies to level 2, qualifies to level 0, and some APIs in our demo application qualifies to level 1. So the application which I have developed is more or less supports all the levels. If you have any doubt, please comment below, and please like and share the video series and share with your friends. Thanks for watching.